Close up. Last week, former President Donald Trump became the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. That case will be appealed, but it's now in the political arena of a presidential election. Here to help break down how things might play out over the next 5 months is Scott Spradling, political analyst, former WMUR political director. Thanks for being here, Scott.
My pleasure, Adam.
So let's take this from two different perspectives.
Okay.
First, why will this matter in this race?
So I think it matters for one main reason. This race between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, looking towards November, is very close, Adam. And so every vote matters. There's a limited list of battleground states, and you've got that slice between the Republicans and the Democrats who are going to ultimately decide this thing. Polls right now, following the felony guilty pleas, convictions, are showing that there are a few percentage points of folks that are saying, yeah, this might turn me off or have me vote elsewhere. That will matter because at the moment, we're talking about a couple of points either way. This could move the needle.
Let's take it from the other perspective. Why won't this matter? We've seen a lot of different negative headlines for former President Trump and President Trump.
Yeah.
He's managed to survive just about all of them.
Donald Trump has turned unprecedented into a cliche. So we are constantly going into new arenas of conversations of impact, and we have seen him beat back things that would have destroyed any other candidacy. So with something like this, we know he's fundraising like mad off of it. We know he is going to appeal. We know this is going to be a hard-fought fight by Trump. The question is, does felony conviction carry some type of weight in a political arena? Normally it would, but with Donald Trump, it seems that there's the Teflon that he's wearing, and it may not impact all the minds.
Yeah, Trump is always going to do his own thing, but then we ask, how is this going to work down the ballot? Let's start with the governor's race. How do you see this playing out in that race for governor, particularly on that Republican side where they have to live with him on that side of the ticket?
Yeah, it's very interesting. May have gone from simple math into a little bit more calculus when it comes to Kelly Ayotte versus Chuck Morse. Chuck Morse is the Trump supporting candidate. Kelly Ayotte has been a lot more quiet and careful about how she's talked about the former president. They both have relationships with the administration, so it could be a push there. But if it becomes a litmus test between the two, it probably puts Morse in a slightly more complicated position than Ayotte, who can continue to, I think, just stiff-arm the questions.
And we've seen Joyce Craig and Cindy Warmington both trying to attach Kelly Ayotte to this, saying, oh, she's not going to distance herself from Trump, which we know she's not, but that attack is potent for some people.
And locally, Adam, the question becomes, what might stick? What argument might the opposition party, might Democrats be able to use as down-ballot arguments that might stick against their opponents? And right now, we don't know. Again, we're in such uncharted territory. There's no manual playbook on what happens if your top dog is a felony convict.
How about 1st Congressional District? Obviously, Chris Pappas, a fairly strong incumbent. He's been able to win a couple of times now in re-election fights. Still a swing district, though, and you have Republicans there who are essentially trying to unseat him. Do they have something here that they can try to get some momentum with, or is this going to help him defeat them? Yeah,
I think Chris Pappas has found ways to win no matter what, despite the, hey, he's a Democrat, is he going to do well in places like Amherst and Bedford and those sort of very bright red towns in his district or out towards the seacoast. He has shown an ability to stay and ability to stay connected to both parties that makes him very difficult to beat. I'm not sure this particular issue is helpful at all in any effort to unseat him.
CD2, open race right now. This one feels wide open, and this will be just another drop in the bucket of these candidates trying to define themselves.
Right, and we'd think that this is more of a blue district. We've seen Democrats essentially camp out there, or Charlie Bass way back when as a very moderate Republican holding that seat. So again, that's a jump ball because we don't know really what that field is going to flesh out and look like. But again, I don't think that this is something that Republicans are going to be able to take back as a second district using this kind of argument. And Adam, sort of the final point of your sort of like your titular leaders of the two parties, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now you have felony convictions on one side, which you would think would be a drag on the ticket. Bad news for the top person is never good for the rest of the ticket. But Joe Biden is just not a popular incumbent. Even fellow Democrats aren't crazy about him. So it's, again, it could very well be a push that despite these felony convictions, it may not meaningfully move the needle to give anybody an advantage or disadvantage.
All right, Scott Spradling, always great insight from you, and in timely fashion, too. Thanks so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
All right, that wraps up this edition of Close Up. Thanks for watching. Have a great Sunday.